The Silent Passenger. The Unsolved Disappearance of Brianna Maitland. Unsolved Case Chronicles. Some stories fade. This one refuses to be forgotten. On the night of March 19, 2004, in the quiet town of Montgomery, Vermont, 17-year-old Brianna Maitland finished her shift at the Black Lantern Inn, got into her car, and vanished into the darkness. The next morning, her green 1985 Oldsmobile was found abandoned, halfway backed into the side of a derelict farmhouse known locally as the Old Dutch Burn House. The positioning was bizarre, as if the car had reversed gently into the building, not crashed. The driver's door was ajar. Her belongings, including her contacts, migraine medication, wallet, and paycheck, were all left behind. But Brianna was gone, and she has never been seen again. Despite having recently left her parents' home after a disagreement, she held down 2 jobs and had plans to study for her GED. Friends described her as funny, friendly, and resilient. She had recently started living with a close friend and was working hard to support herself. That Friday, her mother had taken her shopping for a new car. They laughed, tried on clothes, and shared what would be their final hours together. Brianna seemed happy. She had plans for the weekend. There was no indication that she wouldn't come home. After work that evening, she told coworkers she was tired and going straight home. But she never arrived. And the house she was staying in, just a few miles away, never received her knock. Instead, the only trace of her was that Oldsmobile pressed into the vacant building's frame like a scene from a movie no one wanted to watch. When the police arrived on scene the following morning, they did not treat the car as part of a crime scene. It was simply towed away as an abandoned vehicle. This critical early misstep cost investigators valuable time. Brianna's disappearance wasn't reported until several days later when her parents realized she hadn't returned and began calling around. Her roommate had assumed she was staying elsewhere. Friends thought she was off with someone for the weekend. But once police realized who the car belonged to, the full gravity of the situation became clear. By then, the trail had already started to go cold. Inside the vehicle, investigators found her last paycheck on the front seat. Her migraine medication was there, something she never left behind. A faint smear of what appeared to be blood was found on the rear seat, though testing yielded no conclusive results. Outside the car, some of her belongings were found in the grass: a water bottle, a necklace, loose change. These clues suggested a potential struggle, but nothing pointed to a suspect. The farmhouse itself, long abandoned, offered no surveillance, no witnesses, and no answers. In the weeks that followed, local and state authorities launched a full investigation. Cadaver dogs, aerial searches, and dive teams scoured the surrounding forests, rivers, and rural properties. Still, there was no trace of Brianna. Soon, rumors began to swirl, and with them, theories that painted a darker, more dangerous picture. Some believed that Brianna was abducted by someone she knew. 2 weeks before she disappeared, Brianna had been assaulted by a former friend, Keely Lacrosse, outside a party. The girl accused Brianna of flirting with her boyfriend and pulled her out of a gathering, punching her in the face and breaking her nose. Brianna filed charges against her, an unusual move in their small circle. Some speculated this girl, or people connected to her, might have retaliated. Others suggested Brianna had unknowingly stepped into something deeper. According to certain tips and testimonies, Brianna may have been associated with individuals involved in local drug activity. She may have owed someone money, or she may have known too much. These leads led investigators to consider possible foul play related to small-scale criminal networks in the area. One particularly disturbing tip came in years after her disappearance. An informant claimed that Brianna had been accidentally killed during a drug deal, her body dismembered and fed to pigs on a remote farm. The tip was investigated but ultimately unverified. There was no physical evidence to support the claim. As the months dragged on, the case drew national attention. Brianna's photo was circulated across news stations and true crime forums. She was featured on America's Most Wanted, Dateline, and Disappeared. Each time the story was retold, new tips would surface. But none would lead to Brianna. In 2006, a deeply unsettling photo arrived at the Maitland family's doorstep. It showed a woman, bound and gagged, sitting on a bed in obvious distress. The resemblance to Brianna was striking. Her family feared the worst. The FBI got involved and analyzed the image, ultimately ruling out Brianna as the woman in the photo. But for a moment, hope and horror had collided. That photo became another ghost in the file. Over time, speculation widened. Some believed that Brianna may have been trafficked. Given Montgomery's proximity to the Canadian border, less than 15 miles away, it wasn't implausible. The border is often mentioned in cases of missing women from northern states. A witness later claimed to have seen someone matching Brianna's description working in Atlantic City under an assumed name, but again, the sighting could not be verified. Years passed. Leads dried up. But her family never stopped searching. In 2016, the Vermont State Police reopened the case with new forensic technology. They retested items from the scene and attempted DNA analysis. Partial DNA profiles were discovered, but they didn't match anyone in national databases. In 2022, Brianna's case was handed over to the state's cold case unit. A fresh set of eyes. A renewed determination. One investigator described the case succinctly: "This isn't cold because we forgot. It's cold because it won't give us what we need." What continues to haunt investigators, and true crime communities, is the nature of the car's abandonment. It wasn't hidden in a forest or dumped in a river. It was displayed. Center stage. The Dutch burn house is visible from the road. Why there? Why like that? Some believe it was staged as a message, or even as a warning. Others believe it was a panic maneuver. Perhaps Brianna tried to escape something or someone and accidentally reversed into the building before being taken. There's even the theory that she was already unconscious or worse by the time the car was positioned. What adds to the mystery is how silent the town remained. For a small community where everyone knows each other, there was remarkably little talk. Investigators still believe there are people who know what happened, but are too afraid to speak. Over the years, online communities have become involved. Reddit forums, podcasts, YouTube videos, including this one, have analyzed the timeline, dissected the evidence, and resurfaced every theory imaginable. Some focus on inconsistencies in the police investigation. Others point to overlooked suspects and known criminals living in the area at the time. Everyone seems to agree on one thing: someone knows something. And yet, Brianna's case remains open. There is a $20,000 reward for any information that leads to closure. But tips have slowed. Leads have aged. The Dutch burn house has since collapsed into ruin, a physical symbol of a case long neglected by time, but never forgotten. Brianna Maitland would be 38 years old today. Her family still hopes for answers. Her parents, Bruce and Kelly, have turned their grief into advocacy, launching campaigns to raise awareness for missing persons and cold case investigations. They refuse to let her name fade from memory. The story of Brianna Maitland is not just a mystery, it's a haunting presence. A reminder that even in the safest towns, the unthinkable can happen. And that sometimes, the scariest thing is not what we see, but what we never find. The image of her car partially lodged in the house became an iconic and eerie symbol of the case. It wasn't just abandoned, it looked staged. That single haunting clue, frozen in time, has continued to baffle investigators, spawn hundreds of theories, and fuel a mystery that has never been solved. There were no witnesses, no signs of forced entry, and no trail to follow, only questions. Brianna Maitland was far from a reckless runaway. She was intelligent, driven, and independent.